Ocho, I'd like to. Yeah, I'm gonna. When I get done with this video here in a little bit, I'll probably go take care of my face. Got to get rid of the whiskers. Okay. Now I want to read you an article that was written by a Muslim. Okay. Now, I know amongst any of you Muslims, or Muslims, however you want to pronounce your name, I've heard some of you Muslims say Muslims, so I don't know how you want to say it. I'll just say Muslim, whatever. There's no disrespect in trying to start anything with pronunciations and all that kind of stuff. I'm not very good with foreign names. But anyway, this guy, I think you pronounce it Tawfiq Hamid. Anyway, I think you can go to internationalopinion.com and find an article. It might be gone by now, but anyway, the Muslims, usually anybody who used to be a Muslim, who turns away from Islam and converts to Christianity, or to anything else for that matter of fact, they consider that person never have been a Muslim. But anyway, they probably will say this guy ain't a Muslim. But anyway, I mean, that's just the way they are. But this guy is a Muslim. Alright? And I want to read this to you. It reads as follows. And please excuse the mispronunciations, alright? Excuse me. After terrorist attacks by my fellow Muslims everywhere on this globe, I feel responsible as a Muslim and as a human being to speak out to protect the world and Muslims as well from a coming war of civilizations. I have to admit that our current Islamic teaching creates violence and hatred toward non-Muslims. Think about that, any of you who are planning on converting to Islam and you think that it is a religion of peace. You know, because see, a lot of you who don't really, you partly read the Quran, just like some of you partly read the Bible. Alright, or you don't read it thoroughly, and you don't see what's really being said, and you know nothing really about the full history of Muhammad. And Islam is about not only the worship of a moon god, but it's a worship of Muhammad. They substitute Muhammad for God. But anyway, I'm getting beside our... let me continue to read, alright? It says, we Muslims are the ones who need to change. Until now, we have accepted polygamy, the beating of women, and killing those who leave Islam. We ask others to respect our religion while we curse non-Muslims loudly in Arabic in our Friday prayers. What message do we convey to our children when we call the Jews descendants of the pigs and monkeys? Is this a message of love and peace? I have been in churches and synagogues where they were praying for Muslims while we cursed them and called them infidels and hate them. I am sad that many, if not most of us, rejoiced after 9/11 and other terror attacks. Muslims denounced these attacks to look good in front of the media, but we condone the terrorists and sympathize with their cause. Well, look what's going on in Egypt, okay? You know, with all this stuff on the internet, the Twitter and all this stuff, where they're calling for revolution, and then they're pleading, oh, help us. They're asking everyone in this country to help us so we can kill and maim and lame and stuff so we can have a right to take your freedom away. But anyway, let's go on with, let me read. All right. I am sad that many, if not most of us, rejoiced after 9/11 and other terror attacks. Muslims denounced these attacks to look good in front of the media, but we condone the terrorists and sympathize with their cause. Until now, our reputable top religious authorities have never issued a fatwa or religious statement to proclaim bin Laden an apostate. But author Salman Rushdie was declared an apostate who should be killed according to Islamic Sharia law just for writing a book criticizing Islam. Muslims demonstrate to get more religious rights, but we do not demonstrate with such passions against terrorists. It is our absolute silence against the terrorists that give them energy to continue their evil. We Muslims need to stop blaming our problems on others or on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israel is the only light of democracy, civilization, and human rights in the whole Middle East. We kicked out Jews with no compensation from most of the Arab countries to make them Jew-free countries, while Israel accepted more than 1 million Arabs to live there, adopt its nationality, and enjoy their rights as human beings. In Israel, women cannot be beaten legally, and anyone can change his or her belief system with no fear of being killed. In our Islamic world, people do not enjoy any of these rights. I agree that the Palestinians suffer, but they suffer because of their corrupt leaders and not because of Israel. Is it not common to see Arabs who live in Israel leave to live in the Arab world? On the other hand, thousands of Palestinians used to work happily in Israel, its enemy. If Israel treats Arabs badly, as some claim, surely we would have seen the opposite happen. We Muslims need to admit our problem and face them. Only then we can treat them and start to live in harmony with humankind. Our religious leaders have to show a very strong stand against polygamy, pedophilia, slavery, killing those who leave Islam, beating women, and declaring wars to spread Islam. Then and only then do we have the right to ask others to respect our religion. The time has come to stop our hypocrisy and say it openly. We Muslims have to change. There you go, mates, brothers and sisters. I mean, that was from a Muslim, and I had to share that with you, brothers and sisters in Christ, and to also point out to those who are thinking about converting to Islam, those who sit there continually on YouTube lie about Islam, who claim to be Muslims, all for the sake to get to convert others. Now, there's some, mind you, that are on YouTube who claim to be Muslim because they hadn't been in Islam very long. They'd just been converted or thinking about converting, and they were talked to by people that know Islam, and they never was told everything, and they just only read part of the story and never seen the whole story. Well, yeah. So, I mean, you know, you got all this evil being spread in this world in many forms or different ways. You got people who claim to be Christians, and they're not. Who, well, look at that, see, what was it, that West something, Westboro Baptist Church. None of those people are Christians who do spread the hate and stuff, because Christ never spread hate. You got people on YouTube, you know, different little factions or groups and stuff where basically they're cults. And there's one real famous one we all know on YouTube. And they forget that, you know, that the Bible speaks against cursing others and hating, you know, how that Christ taught against it. He always said to love your enemies. And you got these others that get out on here on YouTube, these groups that get around and tell you that, you know, they actually do this. They get around and curse others, and if anyone disagrees with you, they'll want to take you to court, sue you, and claim to be the voice of God. Yeah. But you got all this stuff, you know, out there, and the people will, some don't deny that they're, that they spread hate more or less. And then you got the ones, in order to get people to be sucked into them, to pull them in, they got to lie in order to get you to come in, and they go under the disguise of we're peaceful. But all their actions and everything that they do is evil, in their own books, their own holy books, you know, like the ones like Islam, right? All right, they tell you, you know, their book cries out for vengeance and killing and no rights whatsoever, you know, and except unless you're in Islam. There is no religion but Islam. And yet they worship Muhammad. And you confront them with it, and they'll deny it outright. But they'll turn around in the same breath, turn around, talk about it's okay if someone speaks against Jesus Christ, and they say Jesus was the prophet of God. And they talk about different things like that, you know, or you know, if anyone who they go in, for instance, if someone speaks against Muhammad, kill them. But if they speak against Jesus, oh, it's okay. You know, they don't, oh, it's nothing there. Speak out against God. Speak out against Muhammad. Something's fishy in Denmark, as the old saying goes. But I thought I would share that with you and let you get, you know, that article that I read, and from that Muslim, someone who is in Islam and sees that there is a problem. And that, my friends, is from someone who's not a Christian. So, there you go. So there is something wrong somewhere. But I wanted to share that in the hopes that if any of you is thinking out there about converting to Islam, not to. Or if you're a Christian who's been sucked into the thinking that Islam is peaceful and we're all one and all this kind of stuff, hello, you need to rethink your thinking again, because you have been duped. Yeah, you've been played the fool. Okay, now to a lighter thing, I want to share a joke with you. I want to read this. It's an article, and the title of it's called "The Man Making Contest." Oh, the atheists sort of love this, and you evolutionists. All right, brothers and sisters, listen to this. One day, a group, and it's called the, did I say the title of this? The Man Making Contest? Okay. One day, a group of scientists got together and decided that man had come a long way and no longer needed God, so they picked one scientist to go and tell him that they were done with him. The scientists walked up to God and said, God, we have decided that we no longer need you. We're to the point that we can clone people and do many miraculous things, so why don't you just go on and get lost? God listened very patiently and kindly to the man. After the scientist was done talking, God said, very well, how about this? Let's say we have a man-making contest. The scientists readily agreed. So God created a man from a handful of dirt, just as he had done with Adam. When God was finished, the scientist bent down and grabbed himself a handful of dirt. God interrupted him. Get your own dirt. God bless you. Shalom and ha-ho.